Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to continue on in section 4, rational exponents. Now, yesterday I taught you how to transform between rational exponents and radicals, and I taught you how to simplify numbers that have rational exponents. Now we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to simplify expressions using these rational exponents. Now, everything can go back to rules of exponents. The rules of exponents that worked since you learned them in exponential algebra still apply with these. You just have to know how to deal with fractions now. So, the key though is everything needs to be as a rational exponent. Working with radicals gets really complex and really messy, so we're not going to go down that route, okay? If you see any radicals, immediately turn them into rational exponents in order to work with them. So, each type has its own little slight nuances. So I'm going to group them together with ones that have kind of common steps or common approaches to get you to feel comfortable with how to work with these. I need you to remember that when you're just doing simple multiplication, it just means you add your exponents, okay? So here, when I have these two things just multiplying, I can just add their exponents. And the cool thing is, well, I'd like you to know how to add fractions. Right now, that's not really too much of my concern. My concern is that you know the rule of exponents. So I'm okay if you go to your calculator and tell it 1/2 plus, was it 3/4? Yes, plus 3/4. I'm okay. Oh, whoops. Let's squish that so you can actually see it. I'm okay if you do that. And then remember, the skill is, if you go to your math menu, arrow fraction, it'll turn it into a fraction for you. So your answer to this problem is going to be a to the 5/4. Okay, so feel free to use your calculator if you're having to add and subtract fractions, because I don't want you to get it wrong because you make an error in that process when you actually knew what to be doing. Okay, so please, please, please feel free, use a calculator for that part. For the next one, recall you don't want radicals. So here, I do want to write this as 3 to the 1/2 times 3 to the 1/4. Okay? Use a skill I taught you yesterday to rewrite it as fractions. And now you can use your calculator if you need to help you with that. 1/2 plus 1/4. Then if you need a calculator to turn it into a fraction for you, go into the math menu, arrow fraction, and you get 3/4. So this is going to be 3 to the 3/4. So that's the first skill, is when you're just multiplying two things, you can add their exponents together. Well, so what does that mean for division? Well, for division, what that means is now I can subtract my exponents. So let's take a look at this one. X to the 4/5 divided by x to the 2/3. Since I'm dividing, it means I can subtract those exponents. And again, I'm going to use my calculator just for the sake of keeping this easier. 5/4 minus 2/3. I'm going to want that as a fraction. So you get 2/15. So what this turns into is this is x to the 2/15 power. So again, it's not horrible. All you have to know is how to use the calculator to help you with this. All right, what about this one? Well, again, radicals, you always want to convert to rational exponents. So here, this is going to be x to the 3/4 divided by x to the 2/8. So Let's take a look at that. 3/4. Sorry about that. 3/4 minus 2/8. 0.5. That one I really don't think you need to use the fraction key because I think you know that that is 1/2. So this ultimately gives you x to the 1/2. All right, so first two skills done. And I don't think many of you will have issues with these because essentially the calculator will do majority of the work for you. You just have to know whether to be adding exponents or subtracting exponents. The next thing, if there are parentheses, simplify inside the parenthesis first, okay? So this is just a reminder of the general order of operations, okay? So let's take a look at this. 2 or x to the 2 divided by x to the -7. Well, remember that negative is actually going to come up and join the x squared. So when you simplify that parenthesis, I think you'll easily see that you get that. The 7 moves up to join the 2, so you get x to the 9 to the 2/3 power. Now, this is a power of a power. So remember, and we did this way back at the beginning of this chapter, this was part of that little intro unit, or intro lesson I should say, that power of a power, you multiply. So again, feel free, use the calculator to help you. Multiply those numbers together. 9 times 2/3 gives me a 6. So ultimately, this is going to be x to the 6. Okay, so power of a power, make sure you know to multiply. All right, this next one, again, the goal is to simplify the expression first. 27/8 doesn't reduce, but x to the 5 divided by x to the 2, 5 minus 2 leaves me with 3. Y to the 10 divided by y to the 4, 10 minus 4 leaves me with 6. All right. And now here for the number piece, 27 to the 1/3. Well, you should know that that is a cube root. The cube root of 27 is 3. The cube root of 8 is 2. So you do still want to have that mentality of that these rational exponents are roots, because that'll help you with the number piece, okay? If you're having to take that root of an actual number, you can just simplify it like that. Now, x to the 3 to the 1/3. So power of a power, 3 times 1/3, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. Y to the 6 to the 1/3, another power of a power, 6, so 6 times 1/3, which is ultimately 6 divided by 3, is 2. So you can simplify that whole thing down to just that. Okay, but you have to remember order of operations, and you have to make sure that you remember radicals. Our next ones, what if you have a parenthesis that has a negative exponent? Well, you still want to simplify first, but then you want to make sure that you flip the fraction. So here let's deal with the inside first, okay? So to simplify that, remember that negative is going to be sent to the bottom, okay? So that's what negatives do. Remember, they flip where they are. So x to the -4 is going to go downward. Now I can deal with this whole parenthesis. So if the whole parenthesis is being taken to a negative exponent and it's a fraction, remember what that means is that just flips the entire fraction on itself. Okay? So that's what a parenthesis to a negative exponent does. It flips the entire fraction on itself. And now I can apply that 1/2. So x to the 4 to the 1/2. Power of a power, I multiply 4 times 1/2 is 2. 9 to the 1/2 power, so the square root of 9 is just 3. Y to the 6 to the 1/2, power of a power, 6 times 1/2 is going to give me 3. And so that is going to be my final answer. Let's try another one like it. So again, you always still clean up the parenthesis inside first. So I'm going to move that y up, just like that. Okay. If there's a negative inside the parenthesis, remember, just move where it is. Now to deal with the fact that the parenthesis is taken to a negative exponent. So that flips everything on itself to get rid of that negative. And now I can just simply take that power. 8 to the 1/3, so the cube root of 8 is just 2. X to the 6 to the 1/3, so 6 times 1/3 leaves me with a 2. Y to the y cubed to the 1/3, 3 times a third just leaves me with 1. And then that's going to be the end. All right. So a lot of stuff in this section, okay? A lot of different examples, which is why we're going to take a lot of time to practice these. So make sure you have everything down that I put up on the board, and then do make sure that you take a moment to write your summary. And then come back ready to do your practice work in class.